And Ron, how are you?
Shabbat
I'm
shalom,
well,
guys.
thank you, and Shabbat Shalom to Rabbi and to Ron, and welcome to everybody on our Erev Shabbat service. It's wonderful to have everybody, or some of you, join us this evening.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. It's good to be here.
All right, so should we begin with a song to begin with? Is something wrong?
Sure. I was thinking for this Shabbat, it would be a nice way to start off by singing the prayer Yehi Yu Leratzon. I think it translates to something close to "May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Eternal One, and my Rock and Redeemer." Well, I think it translates exactly to that according to this page. So it's, I think, a good way to start any kind of Shabbat service. Ratzon im refi vehegyon libi lefanecha yehiyu leratzon im refi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Suri Adonai Suri Adonai Suri vegoali Adonai Suri Adonai Suri, Adonai Suri, Vegoali. Yehu leratzon im refi, Veheyon libi lefanecha. Yehu leratzon im refi, Veheyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Suri, Adonai Suri, Adonai Suri, Vegoali. Adonai Suri, Adonai Suri, Adonai Suri, Vegoali, Vegoali, Vegoali. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom and
Shabbat
Toda
Shalom.
Rabbah. And now, it's interesting. As you were playing, I was thinking about how when we would be at the synagogue, there'd always be so much noise before we lit the candles when we had our Shabbat dinner. And I'd always ask for silence so we could say the bracha together. I really miss a lot of that noise now, that noise of children running around, the noise of parents talking to one another. And I really look forward to hearing the noise and seeing the crowds again. And God willing, in short order, that is going to happen. So
You know we're on camera, right?
I beg your pardon?
You know we're recording on camera. You're now recorded saying, just want to state that so you know.
We're going to get that noise soon. So let's begin and bring the light of Shabbat into our souls, into our very beings. We light the Shabbat candles together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
So,
Shalom.
as usual, we have a wonderful story, and tonight our rabbi is our storyteller.
Tonight I'm going to tell you a special story. And the story is a story about challah and about love. So this pandemic year, instead of buying our challah, which we often have done in the past when things were busy and we weren't at home all the time, we've been making challah just about every week. And it reminded me of this story that's told by a friend of mine, Marilyn Price. She's a storyteller and a puppeteer. And her story is about Grandma's challah. So once upon a time, there was a little boy that lived with his mom and his dad and his grandma and his grandpa and his brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and cousins. He lived with everyone together in a place called the palace because his dad was the king. And he was the oldest, and he knew that one day he would be the king. And this little boy was training to be the king in many ways, but his favorite training was in the kitchen with his grandma. This training always took place on Fridays, and it was called challah baking. But it wasn't just about baking. It was about the stories they would listen to from each other. He would tell her stories about his day, and she would tell him stories about his daddy when he was a little boy. And the little boy loved these stories. One of the things he wanted to know most was how he could be as good a king as he knew his dad was. And so she would tell him through stories. She told him to remember to take care of the people, to love them, to love himself, and to love his family. And she taught him that the best thing he could do would be to teach them how to love themselves by taking care of themselves. And all of this would happen while they were making challah. They would add the ingredients, they would stir, they would knead, they would braid the challah, they would put it into the oven, they would set the timer, and when that timer went off, they would have challah. The little boy loved it. He didn't know if he could ever separate the act of making the challah with the smell of the challah or the taste of it, but all he knew was that his grandma's challah was the one he wanted to have for the rest of his life. Well, time went by, and pretty soon, really not so soon because his dad lived to be 120, the little boy grew up and he became the king, and by that time his grandma was gone too, but he did have her recipe. So the very first time that he could, as the king, he showed up in the palace kitchen and called for the royal chef. He said, "I want you to make a challah like my grandma made." "Of course," said the royal chef, "I'd be glad to do that, but I don't have the recipe." "Oh, I do," said the king. And he got it and handed it to the chef. The recipe was yellowed with age and splattered with ingredients, but it was that same recipe that his grandma had used. So the chef tried. The king reminded him not to leave anything out, and the chef really tried. He stirred and he added and he kneaded and braided and put it in the oven and set the timer. And when that timer went off, he took out the challah that was perfect looking, and he handed it to the king. And the king said, "Smells good. Are you sure you didn't leave anything out?" The chef said, "No, I did it exactly as your recipe said." The king was very excited. After all, now he could have some of his grandma's challah. So he tore off a piece of the challah and they said the blessing together. And the king chewed slowly to savor the taste, but somehow the taste wasn't there. It wasn't the challah like his grandma made. He said to the chef, "You must have left something out." "Oh, no, your majesty," said the chef. "Oh, I'm sorry," said the king. "You must have." So the king looked for another chef and another and another, and finally he was out of chefs. And then he went to the people asking them to please, please help them. Sadly, no one was able to make the challah taste like the grandma had, and the king was very sad. And a sad king is not a very pretty picture. So one day, when he was feeling very sorry for himself, along came a little girl who looked at him and said, "Your Majesty, what's that?" He said, "Why, it's challah. Challah is supposed to make you smile with excitement and shiver with delight like my grandma's challah." "Oh," she said, "well, that's like my grandma's challah. She makes the best challah." Well, the king absolutely had to meet her. He said, "I'm coming over right now." And so the little girl took the king by her hand and they went to her grandma's house, and she raced inside to tell her grandma that the king was at the door. Her grandma was a little surprised. Kings didn't come by her house every day. But she opened the door and invited him in and said, "Your Majesty, I wasn't expecting you. What can I do for you?" "Well," he said, "your granddaughter tells me you make the best challah. And my grandma, she made the best challah, but I haven't been able to make any of that challah. No matter what happens, the recipe just doesn't seem the same. Could you try? Could you make my grandma's challah using this recipe?" "Oh," said the grandma of the little girl, "I'm sure you miss her. Let's try. Tell me about your grandma." And the king said, "I miss my grandma. She used to tell me such wise stories. She told me about my dad when he was a little boy and then when he was the king. And I can tell you some of those stories too." "Well, he was my king too, you know," said the grandma. "Come on in. Maybe we can make that challah together." So they went inside, the three of them, the king, the little girl and her grandma. And together they made that challah. They added, they stirred, they kneaded, they braided, and they told each other stories. And when they were done, they tasted the challah. The king chewed and he swallowed, and a smile came over his face. And he said, "That's it. That's it. That's the challah, just like my grandma made. How did you do it? What did you do that everyone else forgot?" And the little girl's grandma said, "It's easy. When we made challah together, we made it with love and with stories, just the same way that I make it with my granddaughter. And that's the secret ingredient." So now you know how to make challah, just like the king's grandma and the little girl's grandma made. It's made with love and stories. That's the secret ingredient.
A lovely story, Rabbi. And I guess all those stories are filled with love and memories, and they make everything taste sweeter and far more delicious. So thank you for sharing your friend's story with us. So Ron, do you have another song before we do a happy birthday song?
Yeah, I like that story a lot. Sometimes the secret ingredient is nothing more than the intention you put into it. So there's a song we've sung a few times, Amma Yisrael Chai, which is really we are alive. And then the second verse is Od Avinu Chai, which is our God is alive, or our God yet lives. Just celebrating that magic, that unquantifiable, unknown magic of life. And he would sing. So the other thing I need is, after we do the birthday song, we're going to do one more song. So I'm going to need you guys to help me do the call and response for that song. This is going to be a good warm-up, because all we have to do is sing Amen. It goes like this. Amen, Amen, Amen Yisrael Chai, Amen, Amen, Amen Yisrael, Amen, Amen, Amen Yisrael Chai, Amen, Amen, Amen Yisrael Chai, oh, Ravinu Chai, oh, Ravinu Chai, oh, Ravinu Chai, oh, Ravinu Chai. One word. Amen. Help me out. Here we go. Amen. 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 Yisrael Chai. Amen. 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 Yisrael. You can go higher. Amen. 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 Yisrael Chai. Amen. 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 Yisrael. Oh, I said, oh, Ravinu Chai. Oh, Ravinu Chai. Oh, Ravinu Chai. Said, oh, Ravinu Chai.
I like that. I think that's Noam Katz's version, right?
It is, yes.
Yes, and some of us remember Rabbi Katz and he's been at camp as well. So somebody must have had a birthday this week. I don't think it's no one in my family. And Rabbi, anybody in your family, or Ron?
Not my direct family. Definitely some friends though. Definitely some people out there.
Okay, so for whomever, let's do one rousing chorus of Yom Holedet Sameach.
All right. Yom Holedet Sameach. Yom Holedet Sameach. Yom Holedet Sameach. Yom Holedet Sameach. Happy birthday to every and all.
So before we leave, I just want to remind people that Saturday night at 7:30 is our monthly Havdalah with Sonia, and Zoe and Danielle Gomberg are going to help us for Havdalah this week. And once again, if any younger people are here and want to do some English reading for the June Havdalah, please let me know. We'd be delighted to have more of you involved. And Rabbi, are there any other announcements?
Well, we do have the AGM on Monday evening. For those of you that are probably of the not so much the Beit Sefer category, but more of our adult population. And we have upcoming programming and events going on throughout the month of May.
Yeah,
Shavuot is coming up soon.
Yeah, lots of afternoon and evening programs and special services. So please pay attention to your monthly shummas that came out last night. All the ways of clicking on the Zoom links are there right in the shummas. Easiest way to do it. So Ron, finals Mira.
Sure. It's a Dan Nichols song. I was able to witness him play at Havana Shira. And actually, this would be a good trifecta of songs today. We've done Josh Nelson's Yehiyu, we've done Noam Katz's Ameh, and now to finish off with a Dan Nichols classic, that's got to be a Jewish superstar something. All right. Goes like this. Give it to me straight now, and give me shelter. I used to be a heavyweight, and now I'm just a welter. Something inside of me feels all funky. I believe that I'm addicted. I believe that I'm a monkey. Oh, I believe in a thing called God above. But I believe in you and me, and I believe in love, and I believe in the thing called rock and roll. Slap on some hearing aids when I get old. Children are the future, and I believe they're gonna be our suture. Oh, and I believe in this guy called Barack Obama, but I know this girl and her name's Moana. Oh, and I don't know if I believe in a God above, but I believe in you and me, and I believe in love. And I don't know if I believe in a God above, but I believe in you and me, and I believe in love. Alright, so this is the part where you guys would respond if you're watching at home. Easy one. I'll do something like this, and you'll do something like this. Can I get an amen? Amen. Can I get an amen? And I believe in love. Try it again, ready? Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? Oh, and I believe in love. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good girls will go to heaven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Miriam and the women will dance till 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good boys will go to heaven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Matzah, it's bread unleavened. I don't know if I believe in a God above, and I don't believe in you and me, and I believe in love. And I don't know if I believe in a God above, and I believe in you and me, and I believe in love. And I don't know if I believe in a God above. Said I believe in you and me, and I believe in love. Saying I don't know if I believe in a God above, but I believe in you and me, and I believe in love. Shabbat shalom, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you all next week.
Shabbat shalom, Ron. Shabbat shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, Solel. Everybody stay safe, stay home, stay healthy.
Absolutely. Amen.
Amen.